Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy Flag Day. Why is that a day? Um, uh, it's my 29th of 30 days in a row live. Tomorrow, Katie McManus and I are going to go live together and talk about what this crazy time has been like for us and, what the benefits were for us, what was hard about it, and what our consequences would have been and what we were thinking of for each other as consequences if we did not do the everyday lives. So I'm pretty excited to share that. So join us tomorrow. I don't know what time we're going live yet. We haven't figured it out. We're going to wing it. But if you don't catch us live, you can catch us on the replay. And, there we go. Anyway, so tonight, that's my, if you can't hear that, that's my phone reminding me to go live so that I wouldn't forget. And I almost forgot because I went out to a friend's house tonight and, it's 10:30 over here on the East Coast of the US. And I was driving home and thinking like, I'm just going to go right to bed when I get home, and came in the house and I threw my hair up in my messy bun. And I was like, let's get ready for, still have to go live. So here we are. And my alarm would have reminded me anyway. And thankfully I did not need that last little reminder. But I want to talk to you tonight about, I've been sort of dancing around like getting ready to get ready and what it's like to work with a coach and all of that kind of stuff. But I want to sort of walk through like how it works, because I feel like working with a coach feels very mysterious. And I've been coaching for 15, 18, 20 years. But even I didn't know how to hire a coach. And like all of my clients came to me before I started taking this seriously as a business. All of my clients came to me through referral, and we would talk about what they were looking for. And I'd be like, yeah, I can do that. And they'd say, what do you charge? And I was like, I don't know. And then one day I decided I wanted to run an actual business, and now I know. So I want to talk about what it looks like if you're thinking about working with me. I want to talk to you about what that looks like for you as an individual, from like the second you decide you want to have a call with me, to signing up with me, to our first call, and to like how our calls will work. If you want more detail, which you might, and you want to talk about like, what does it look like in a partnership? Like, what do I see as possible for you? And in the situation that you're in, what kind of investment do you need to make? Like all of that, like, let's have a one-on-one conversation, because it's so much more valuable for you if you're inside of the conversation. But I'm also going to talk about why that shouldn't have to feel like a big deal for you from the perspective of having the conversation. Deciding to hire an executive coach, totally a big deal. So first I want to tell you about how I went about hiring an executive coach, and what I thought about in doing that. And just to sort of give you like one person's path to that. And if you have questions along the way as I am talking, or if you have questions that come up that you don't want to put in the comments, like send me a DM on whatever platform easiest. I would say like the most frequently checked are LinkedIn and probably Instagram. But any platform that takes DMs that you find me on, I'm there. You can find me. So let's talk about my path to hiring an executive coach. I always thought I didn't need an executive coach because I was one. And if you are one, you shouldn't need one. But like, that doesn't really make that much sense, right? Like, I'm not a brain surgeon, but if I were a brain surgeon, I probably wouldn't do brain surgery on myself. Like, you need somebody else to do the things that you maybe shouldn't be doing for yourself. And my first lesson when I decided to hire an executive coach was that I didn't have to do everything by myself. And I just sort of assumed that my role in life was to do all of the things by myself because I was the go-to person. I was the person that people came to for help. I was the person people came to for support and for solutions. And I knew how to solve things that I didn't know how to solve. And I find that with my clients as well, that a lot of the time, they are actually the people who everybody comes to for things. And so there becomes this assumption that we develop that, like, if I know all the things for all the other people, and it's not even that, like, I feel like I'm incredibly smart. I think I'm pretty clever. And I think, like, I'm a good problem solver. And I'm also like a founding member of the How Hard Could It Be Club. And so I have always felt like I can get it done. I can be involved. I can fix it. I can help. And in my brain, that meant that there was nobody to solve my problems. And I fully felt like that. And when I decided to hire an executive coach, it was actually like a gut thing that I wasn't even planning to do. And I am not an impulsive decision maker. When I chose to live where I live now, where I've been for 16 years and will soon be moving from, but when I chose to move here, I went to a real estate agent with like outlined maps. And this was 2008. So this was pre like Google Maps, pre Waze. This was like legit MapQuest. I outlined on maps where I wanted to live. And I gave the real estate agent like the borders of the neighborhoods that I wanted to live in. And he said, I've never seen anybody do anything like this before. And I said, I'm a little bit nuts. So let's find me a condo in one of these neighborhoods. And we did. So when I went to hire an executive coach, I wasn't actually looking to hire an executive coach. I was looking to start researching certification programs because I had never gotten my coaching certification. And I decided, like, hey, may as well add a certification to my docket because I only work 80 to 100 hours a week. How hard could it be? And so I called somebody who I knew who had just gotten certified and to ask her about her program and how much it cost and how did it work and how much of a time commitment was it. And in talking to her, I said, ooh, I just don't know how I'm going to fit it in because I already work 80 to 100 hours a week and that's not going to change. And she out clevered me and it made me mad. And then I realized she could be my coach. And what she said was, after I said I work 80 to 100 hours a week and that's not going to change, she said, if you say so. And I was real mad because I didn't think I was saying so. I thought my job required it. I thought the company required it. I thought my boss expected me to do it. I thought, right, like it was all external. And I had created it that way. I had trained everybody around me that I worked absolutely bonkers hours. I worked all day and night. I worked weekends. I worked vacations. No problem. I made it look easy. People thought that it wasn't that hard for me. And so I did that. I trained people on that. I then had to untrain people, including myself, on that being how hard I worked because I do not want to work that hard. And I no longer do. And so for me, it was an almost impulsive decision. I still like had the full call with her, talked to her about like how our relationship would work, how often we would meet, how much of an investment it would be for me, all of that. And then I thought about it. And then I came back to her and I said, let's do it. And so sometimes that's the way it works. Sometimes you just sort of stumble upon somebody. And I met somebody last weekend at a friend's house who was like, you do what? For who? Can I talk to you about that? And so hopefully I'll be talking to her soon about that. More often, we're in a situation where we feel like things are hard. We don't know what else to do. We don't know why it's hard or how it got here, how it got to be this level of hard. And we think this is the only way it can be. But there's this little part of us that knows, that is like so sure that this isn't the only way it can be. That's the part you get to listen to. And notice that I'm saying you get to and not you have to, or you should, or it's time to, right? Like you have to be ready to believe it can be different. You don't have to know how. In fact, if you don't know how, it's probably better because you have a little bit more of an open mind that somebody else can help you figure out how. So you don't have to know how. In fact, don't know how. Don't come in knowing how, right? My clients are so like aggressively self-aware, and I'm the same way, where like I will say like I know all of these things about myself. I am this way and this way and this way and this way, and these are the things I do, and this is how I do it, and this is how I behave, and this is how I act, this is who I am, and this is what it. And then my coach will say to me, hey, have you ever thought about this? And it like blows my mind because I haven't, because I can't think outside of the box of myself, of the things I already know and that I know that I know. And so for me, having a coach has meant that I get to say to somebody else, here are all the things I know, and then like hand it off to them to let them challenge it. So that's what worked for me. So if you are in a place where you're thinking about having a coach and you're like, oh, but I don't want to get on a call where somebody's going to be all slimy and salesy and they're going to tell me this is for a limited time only and my prices go up next week, and they're going to not let me get off the call until I give them a yes, and they're going to follow up with me 6 times after we get off the call and say, are you still interested? Are you still thinking about it? My docket's almost full, and blah, 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 blah. No, like big no. I do not respond to that. I don't know a lot of people who respond to that. The scarcity tactic of like limited time only, that's not honest. Ick, like big ick. Big ick. So I want you to know, if you're going to get on a call with me, that's not how I work. It's just not. It doesn't feel good to me. It doesn't feel like a good way to client acquisition for me, if we can make that a verb. And so for me, I'm a relationship builder. I'm a networker. I'm a friend, right? And I would not want anybody treating my friends the way I have seen some salespeople out there treat people. So if you decide to get on a call with me, when you decide to get on a call with me, this is the Lauren you get. This is like, I am the same. It's my favorite compliment when somebody gets on a call with me and they're like, oh, you're exactly how I imagined you'd be, or you're exactly how I see you on video, or like how I hear your voice when I'm reading your LinkedIn posts. That's my favorite compliment, because I am all me all the time. That's how I want things to be. That's how I want to be known. And it's how I want to know myself. I don't ever want to walk out of anything I do and be like, ew, that wasn't me. Right. And if I do walk out of something where I'm like, ew, that wasn't me, I want to walk back in and be like, hey, everybody, sorry, that wasn't me. So when you set up a call with me, this is how it works. You're going to go to my link, and you can find my link in my bio. If you're on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, I think. You're gonna on LinkedIn, it's in my about section. Hey, Chanel, welcome. So glad to have you here. So if you go to link in my bio, you can or into my about sections, like that's where my link is. And Chanel, thanks for joining. I'm talking about what it's like to work with me as a coach, and to like, even before you work with me, just to like have the conversation with me and be like with a real human being who's not going to be like limited time only. Chastity, thank you. No ick with Lauren. I don't work in scarcity. I don't work in like, you got to do this or your life will never be better. I'm just, here I am. I'm me, just regular Lauren. So you'll set up a strategy call. And when you set up the strategy call, you'll pick a date and time, and you'll fill out a few questions that ask you like, why, yay, I'm happy you're here. I love your profile picture, by the way, Chanel. It's freaking amazing. Lot of joy and like vibrance in that picture. So you'll set up this strategy call. You'll answer a couple of questions, probably take you like 5 minutes. But it's, asking you why you want to talk to me, what you're struggling with, what you know you want or don't want, and then like whether you're interested in individual coaching or coaching for your team, or a couple of choices there. Then we get on the call, and you will have a pre-scheduled call. We get on the call, we spend a half hour together, and for the first like 20 minutes or so, we're just having a conversation. I'm asking you about you. I'm asking you like why now today is the time for you to potentially talk to somebody about partnering with a coach. This is not like a love quest for me of like, tell me why you love me. Tell me what you think is amazing about me, because this is my time. It's not, it's your time. I want to know why you are looking for coaching potentially. And notice I keep saying like potentially and maybe, because I am not going to force you to make a decision on that call. I'm not going to force you to say like, say you're going to work with me or your life will never get better than it is today. Ugh. So we'll talk about you for about 20 minutes. During that time, like we're two human beings. So like you get to ask me questions. I get to ask you questions. You get to break in and say like, have you ever had a client who has had this issue? Or you get to say, and I get this a lot too, your jaw isn't dropping. I've never said this out loud to anybody. And you're just sitting there and listening to me. Like, yeah, that's how it should be. So Janelle, thank you so much. I love the theme of this live: demystify the process and make it easy for people to say yes. You're making my sales coach heart flutter with joy. Oh, thank you. So we're going to have this conversation. Then I'm going to tell you what it looks like to work with me. I'm going to tell you how often I usually meet with clients. I'm going to tell you about my on-demand offering, which is like for all of my clients, if you have a need in between our calls, I'm not a therapist who you wouldn't like dare contact in between calls. You're building a partnership with me. I am your partner in your coaching experience. So you get to text me at 8 o'clock at night on a Thursday and say, I'm freaking out and we don't have a call for a week. And I will get on a call with you as soon as I can. It may not be till the next day. It will be the same day if I can make it the same day. And sometimes it's a text conversation. Sometimes it's a full extra session. And that's like all part of the deal with me. I will ask you what questions you have. I'll ask you what you're thinking about. If you are just waiting for me to stop talking so that you can say yes, I will stop talking so you can say yes. And that has happened. There are some people who come to a strategy call with me and they're like, I'm ready. When you're done asking me questions, I'm just going to say yes. So I'm just going to be polite until you stop talking and then I get to say yes. And that is the part of the sales cycle that I am not brilliant at. I don't just like take the yes right away. I don't know if that's good or bad. But at the end of our call, I will ask you, what are you thinking? And it is not, are you ready to do this? Because again, I think that's super creepy. It's like, what are you thinking? What's on your mind now? And you may say, oh, that's a lot of money. I have never thought about spending that much money on myself. Or you may say, oh, I want to do it, but I'm afraid that I won't make the commitment. Or you may say, I'm a processor. I just need to think about this. All good. You may say yes. Or you may say, you know what, Lauren, I thought I was going to really like you and I don't. So I'm not going to continue this conversation. And I will have a little bit of hurt feelings because I think I'm pretty nice. But then we'll get off the call and hopefully maybe you'll know somebody else who would like me. But I'm not going to force you to make a decision on that call. What I do is I set up a follow-up call. And that is what I call the yes-no call. And you get to decide before our next call. And we set it up before we get off the call. And we do that for a really specific reason. And that is because you have enough pressure on you as a grown human who is trying to keep your work life going the way it's been going, even if you don't like it. That's what you know right now. Maybe you have a family you're taking care of. Maybe you have a parrot you're taking care of. Maybe you have children or dogs or cats or plants that you're like really into and they take up a lot of your time. Whatever your stuff is, like you keep having that stuff. But if you keep having that stuff and we don't have a follow-up call, then your brain every couple of days goes, oh, I got to get back to Lauren. So we set up a follow-up call. I'm not going to contact you in between calls. I'm not going to email you a follow-up and say like, hey, I hope you're doing some good thinking about that. Again, ick. That is not the way that I partner with people. When you come back to that second call, you have a decision to share with me. And the decision can be yes. It can be yes, but I don't want to start for 2 months because I have this, and that going on. Yes, but I'm going to be getting married in August, so I need to take that month off. No, also an option. And I will ask you why no, but not because I want you to change your mind, just because I want to learn. I want to learn, is there somebody else that you're more interested in working with? Can I introduce you to somebody who might be more up your alley? Like, is there something that I don't offer that somebody else might offer? And I know a lot of coaches. We tend to start knowing each other. Is it no because you're afraid? I've had people say, I'm afraid that if I work with you, I'm going to blow up my whole life because I'm not going to want anything I have right now. It's not going to just be about my career. And that's a super valid fear. And we can talk about that. You can also say not now. And I want to have a follow-up call with you in 3 months, Lauren. And I'll do that. This gets to be your decision. And I want it to be a super powerful decision for you. Do I love it when you come to me and say, like, I just don't want to spend the money on me? I don't love it. I don't feel like that's a powerful decision. And also, we all have different stories about money. We all have different bank accounts. We all have different things we have to spend our money on. And some people decide that coaching is a luxury, and other people decide that coaching is important enough and, pardon me, and potentially life-changing enough that it's worth the investment. Nobody teaches us as grown-ups that we should be investing in ourselves. We invest in, right? We graduate from high school, we invest in something, whether it's college or trade school or some kind of a certification, or we just go to work, right? One of those things. And then we get the certifications or the degrees, extra degrees that we need, hoping that our employer will pay for it. But nowhere along the line do we say to ourselves, what do I actually want? And what can I do to get that? And that's why the beginning part of my live was important, because it's like, you don't have to know exactly what you want. You just have to know it's not this, whatever this is, whether it's that you work 80 hours a week, whether it's that you don't know how to set boundaries with your team or your boss, whether it's that you don't know how to delegate, whether it's that you don't know why you don't enjoy work, but it just like brings you all the way down and you just don't want it anymore. You don't want it to be this way. Whether you've always dreamed of doing this job and somehow you got over to this job. And how can we figure out how to start transitioning you or start exposing you to things, or, million different reasons to want to work with a coach. What I can tell you is that the people that I've worked with, when I do the work, which I always do, and when they do the work, which most of them do, the results are freaking amazing. I have helped people emerge from toxic work environments. I have helped people figure out what they want to be when they grow up, when they're in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. I just talked to a former client yesterday who's interviewing for CHRO jobs, Chief Human Resources Officer jobs, and couldn't believe a year and a half ago when we started working together, or 2.5 years ago, whenever it was, time just sort of blends. But when we started working together, we worked together for about a year and a half. She couldn't believe at that point in time that she was qualified for CHR jobs. Now she's advising in her interviews, she's advising people on what they should be doing with their CHRO. And so now she's applying for CHRO jobs, and she took a break. She had a new parent leave and all of that. So she took a little break from job hunting, and now she's back at it. And she sees how like powerful she is because she gave herself the opportunity to work with somebody else so that she could see that. So my purpose in life is to show people that they have choices, to help them figure out what they want to escape from, right? Which is the trap of being fine, whatever fine means to you, which is like not a real thing, right? Nobody's fine. We have much stronger feelings than that. I am not fine. You're not fine. I'm either really happy, really sad, or somewhere in between. But I don't think fine exists for how we are as adult human beings. I just don't think it's real. I think we use it as a way to self-soothe and to say that, this is what's to be expected at whatever age and stage we're at. Well, work is supposed to be hard. Well, you get to be a vice president and you're expected to stay longer, blah, blah, blah. All the stories we tell ourselves. So if you're ready to share your story and you're ready to share with me what you know right now doesn't make you feel good about your career, about how you manage your career, about the job or the career or the company you're in, about the money that you're not making, that's the conversation. That's the value of a strategy call. And you get to say yes or no, or I want to think about it, or I want to come back to you in 3 months. And if anybody ever gets on a strategy call or a discovery call or a let's chat or a virtual coffee or whatever we all call it, we all have different names for it. They tell you 1 time only, limited time offer, soon I'll be full and you won't have access to me. You're going to miss out. I'm not letting you get off this call until you give me an answer. Just like, oops, your internet went out. If you don't feel comfortable saying like, hey, I'm uncomfortable with that kind of sales pitching, just get off the call. They're not treating you with respect, so you don't have to treat them with respect. Now, I don't believe that there's no push, right? Because I get really passionate about what I do, and I get really passionate about what's possible for you and about like the imagine, right? The things you can imagine could happen for you. And I get so excited. So you will hear passion from me, because when you come to me and you say, I work 65 hours a week, I don't want to do anything else because everything I do at work is so intense. My boss hands off everything to me, and Volun tells me that I'm going to be on this team and that team and that team and that team. And then you decide you just don't want to do it. Like, my heart hurts for you and I really want it for you. So you will hear passion from me, but you will never hear me say, I'm the only solution. You will never hear me say, if you don't do this today, you'll never do it and your life will never get better. Like, that's all BS, because there are 100 different ways to decide to change your life. I'm one of them. I think I'm pretty good. And I've had a lot of success with myself, with other people, and my life would not be the same if I had not worked with my own executive coach. So I'm going to leave you with that. Chanel, Chastity, thank you so much for being here. Anybody else who didn't comment, who was in the audience tonight, thank you so much for being here. This has been day 29 of 30 days live, straight in a row. It has been fun and exhausting and a very good way to get myself back on video after hiding from it for a year or so. And next month, I'm going to come up with a new challenge for myself. And it might be daily lives or not. I just did daily lives. See, I'm tired. It's almost 11 o'clock. It might be daily reels on Instagram to grow me there. And we'll see. If there's anything you'd like to hear about live, or you'd like me to do a video on, or an informational something on, let me know. Send me a DM, comment here. I will see you tomorrow for day 30. And I'll be with Katie McManus. We'll be talking about our journey for 30 days of going live each and challenging each other to that. And have an amazing night. I'll see you tomorrow.